So this is Two Crones and a camera. And before we start, I'm just going to give you a quick bit of backstory about how this came to be. This is Jennifer Taylor, and we met when she invited me on a podcast here on YouTube, which was really kind of her. And we hit it off really well, and we just got on straight away. And you know how when you meet someone and it just clicks? Well, it was a bit like that. And since then, we've stayed in touch and we've had loads of long voice note chats, haven't we?
We have.
And last week we had a Zoom catch up and we said, should we do something together? And Two Crones and a camera is the result of that. And that's one of the things, and I think Jenny, you'll agree with me, that's one of the things that I love most about doing this channel is I get to meet loads of interesting people, and every now and then one of them connections turns into a proper friendship, and we get to make stuff like this, which is real and meaningful, and it's not just churned out for clicks. And we know the views and subscribes are really nice. Yeah, of course they are, but it's not the reason we're here to do this, because we want these videos that we're doing to be more about the human connection and having a bit of fun as well. So Two Crones and a camera is going to be a laid back series about what it's like to be in this stage of life, the menopause, perimenopause, all of it, and how we're both dealing with it. And we're both into holistic stuff. I think it's Jenny's vocation. She does that for a living. We both like meditation, tarot, oracle cards, energy work, all of that stuff. So we wanted to create something with real conversations without all that polished wellness fluff and beauty standard, industry standard beauty and all that. So it's just real talk from two women who are living the dream of the menopause. And we're aiming to do it once a month because we need to fit it around our own busy schedules. So, we've got that to think about. But one month it's going to go up on my channel. Next month it'll be on Jenny's channel. And we're just going to let it evolve naturally and see where it goes. There's no pressure, there's no format. It's just me and Jenny having a natter on camera, Two Crones and a camera, about what it's like at this stage of life. So, yeah, this is us talking honestly about what it's like to grow older in a society that's obsessed with youth, and how to feel alive and stay visible. And hopefully some of you that are going through the same stuff, it'll help you as well. So Jenny, I'm going to hand it over to you now to introduce yourself and tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you, Sarah. I feel like I've got a blurry eye here. Right, my name is Jennifer, and like Sarah and I was talking, I've got my own channel, and when it comes to interviewing other people, I really love it. But when it starts about me, I'm like, oh. So, yes, as I said, my name is Jennifer. I've been in the industry of the wellness since 2002. And then in 2020, I left the spa that I was working, and the spa is the beautiful place, Ragdale Hall in Mountain Mowbray. And my interest has always been about the tarot, oracle cards, sound healing. And even though I'm not in that industry, I've not stepped away from it. I actually forgot when the menopause things, brain fog. I'm actually there on a self-employed basis holding meditations, which is a dream come true. So I've still got my foot in that doorway. And like Sarah says, I'm really into wellness. I'm really kind of like not one of those people that, like Sarah says, is like, that's bit, wasn't it? Whatever it is. I'm royal. Authentic and real, and I fluff my words up, and I'm super excited to be here having this chat. And I think women, and probably men as well, who knows, but we need honest conversations, raw, organic, authentic conversations. So let's get going, Sarah.
Yeah, let's. And we decided, didn't we, for this episode, we've come up with a few questions that about the menopause, and just to get us going really with this first video. And we're going to answer them from each of our own perspectives, and then have a bit of back and forth, a bit of rat-a-tat, and just see where the conversation takes us. We're going to talk about it all, really. not just the difficult stuff, but also how this time of life can be alchemical, really, like clearing the dross out that no longer fits, and things like other people's expectations of you, people pleasing, and the versions of ourselves that we used to be. And then we're going to come out the other end, rising like a phoenix through the hot flushes.
Yep,
It
we
come to me
are.
this morning that I thought I'm going to put that in.
Yes,
A
yeah.
phoenix through the hot flushes, yeah. Or hot flashes if you're in the US. I think they call them flashes. I've always called them flushes. So
Or tropical moments.
tropical moments, I like that.
Yeah, tropical moments.
Yeah. So let's get into the first question then. So the
Yep.
first question, Jenny, is when you think of your 50s so far, what words come to mind?
Freedom. That's what comes to mind. Because I'm now 57, so I'm a wee bit older than you, and I've been thinking about this question for quite a while, and because when I turned 50, it was in 2018, and obviously we had 2020, so that kind of like took a chunk out of it. I don't personally feel anything different to when I was in my 40s. I actually found turning 40 really liberating. But one of the things I've noticed about being in 57, and I look back on the years, it's freedom. And I feel like now I haven't got that responsibility of, obviously I love my daughter and etc. That hasn't gone away, but I haven't got that day-to-day responsibility. So it gives me this element of freedom. And one of the things that's really kind of like struck me and called me is the fact that there's my daughter FaceTiming me, just on cue, is to be able to return back to who I was when I was 17, landing back in England and being that free rebel that I was. AKA, I used to dress completely different to the norm, and I had dreams and anything was possible. And I think that's what the 50s represent to me. It's like, who am I? Who do I want to be? I want to be not look wise by any means, but I'm still that 17-year-old in me. And I think turning 50 is giving me that freedom to step back into that. Does that make sense, Sarah?
It makes absolute sense to me. And I was going to say freedom and clarity. And I totally agree with you about the inner 17-year-old. Because when I was 17, I had a pixie cut. And I've gone back to that because I feel like now I've got the freedom to be that person that I was inside, but I was kind of afraid to show the world because you at 17 you're conforming as well, so you're in like a little bit of a fight with yourself, aren't you? You want to
Mm.
express yourself, and but at the same time you've got to conform because you do worry what other people think at that age. And I used to worry about what other people thought all through my 20s and probably into my 30s as well.
Mm.
So looking back, I can see all the things that I used to chase back then, like approval, being liked, even being desirable. And I just don't care in the same way anymore. And it's not because I've given up or anything, but it's more because I've woken up to who I am. Um, I used to make sure that I always fitted in. I was a bit like a social chameleon, depending on what situation I was in. I used to dumb myself down to fit in with that, and mold myself into whatever conversation I was having. And inside, I knew, I was never comfortable with that, but it was just something that you did back in those days. I wanted to fit in at work. I wanted to fit in on nights out. If I was on a date back in the day, I wanted to wear that outfit, or I'll put this one on because I thought that's how my peers would approve of it rather than how I felt I wanted to express myself. And I'm like you, I'm quite a quirky dresser, and I'll take something and I'll break it in the sense that I'll wear it my way on purpose. So like you might see a dress, for example, a sea salt dress or something like that on the model. Well, I'll buy it and I'll wear it completely wrong on purpose. So I like to look put together, but I also like to look like I like to make people think, "Oh, she done that because I couldn't wear that. I wouldn't have thought to put it on like that. I don't know how she's doing it." So I like to be a bit more editorial and subversive in my dressing now, and I'm not afraid to do that now. I'll put a nice floaty maxi dress on and a pair of battered old red Converse trainers on, and I don't care what people think. And it's not a magical formula either to be quirky in your dress and not care. The only thing that you need really is the confidence in your own style to hold your head up and wear the clothes rather than letting those clothes wear you. So I feel like I've stepped out of a fog. I don't need to mold myself or shrink down to make other people comfortable. And I know what matters to me, and I've got the confidence to trust that. And for me, that's come with great clarity and peace. So that's been my 50s so far. Long may it continue.
Yeah, and you know, listening to you, I'm like sat here nodding, Sarah, going, "Yep, yep, that was me, that was me, that was me," and like you, it is having what I was going to say is like when you start dressing in the way that you want to dress, you start to shine, and your charisma starts to shine, and people turn their heads, and it's not, and it's because you, it's something magical that when you're true to yourself and your clothes represent the truth of who you are, you actually look stunning. That, does
Yeah,
that
I
make
get
sense?
that.
Yeah,
It
because
does.
I didn't realize rolling up jeans was fashionable. I've just got short legs, so I rolled them up a bit, and then I put on my my favorite boots, my brown boots, and a top, and like you, I haven't gone for the pixie cut, but I've cut my hair short. And my daughter said to me, she goes, "Mum, that style so suits you." And it wasn't, I didn't follow the fashion things. It's like you said, you know, I will take this and put with that, and I feel that's my look. And my bugbear is when you go into any of the high street stores and you see rows and rows and rows of the same clothing, and it's like we're like little robots. We all have to dress in a certain way, and that rebel in me goes, "No, I don't want to be like them. I'm going in that direction." So yeah, I hear you, Sarah, and I agree with you.
Absolutely. And one thing about myself, and I'm sure you included, when you do go out anywhere, you don't have to worry about everybody else dressing the same or somebody having the same outfit on because it's never going to happen. And if they do rock up in the same dress, you can guarantee they're going to be wearing it differently. They're going to be wearing how it's been sold to be worn rather than how you're expressing yourself in it. So I like that. And I remember we had a conversation last week about Doc Martens.
Ah,
We're
yes.
both into our Doc Martens.
Yes, I was going to wear mine today, but my I'm so hot, I didn't. And I need to make a disclaimer because I'm actually wearing a Sainsbury's dress.
I know, but it is a hot day today. It's really, really warm, and
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So that's my disclaimer.
Well, I was thinking about the Doc Martin conversation we had, and I thought that you could use the Doc. I brought a silver one to symbolise the silver hair, and I thought that these pretty much are metaphoric of the menopause because
Mm,
when you first get them, you, they're so uncomfortable and they rip your heels to shreds, and you don't want to wear them. But once you've broke them in, they're the most comfortable things ever. And I think going into your 50s is a bit like that. You feel a bit
mm,
uncomfortable because you think, I want my 20s back, or I want to stay in my 40s. But once you lean into it and get used to it, and you break in your 50s like you break in a pair of Doc Martens, it
mm.
is the most comfortable time of your life, and
I like
comfortable
that.
not in a letting yourself go way, but in a just in a peaceful way.
Mm,
And I think your 50s kind of, if you allow them to, they mold to you just like the Doc Martin shoe molds to your foot once you broke it in. Takes a bit of work and acceptance, but once you get there, I think it's life in your 50s is like a pair of Doc Martens, just need breaking in.
I agree. And I was going to wear mine today, but like I say, it's so hot, so I haven't. But yeah, I love that way of thinking. And I always kind of like when we were having the conversation, it was the phoenix and the hot flushes I saw as that burning away. Like whenever I had a hot flush, and and I could feel it rising inside me, I'd stop and in awe. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's this alchemical change that's going on in my body. And I could just feel this heat rising. It just blew me away because I thought, how powerful is my body? It's changing, it's morphing, it's like the phoenix going into the fire, and then from the fire it rises from the ashes, reborn, renewed. So when they stopped those hot flushes, I was like, oh, damn. But I'm still in that, not still in that stage, but like, you say the Doc Martens and I said the Phoenix. And I think that's why I've got the tattoo of the Phoenix on my left leg, because it represents, the rebirth. And I think all through life, we should never stick or stay stuck. We should always allow the changes of our age to guide us and share our wisdom. But it's like, not share wisdom, what was I going to say? It's like the energy of growing with the ages. It's something that's always changing within us. And when we don't try and hold on to the past, we can then move into this new unknown territory.
Yes, it's kind of like reinventing yourself, isn't it? But
Yeah.
more from a natural point of view rather than trying to do it purposely. You just lean back into it and let yourself be reinvented. David Bowie's just come to mind. He's another great example of that, because all through his career, he changed his
Oh,
image
yeah.
so much. He didn't stay stuck in any one time. He moved with the times. And that's why I think he had such longevity and he was so successful, because he wasn't afraid to change his image. He wasn't afraid to experiment. And yeah, I think that's life in the 50s as well.
Shall I share a secret with you? When I was leaving Australia, I went to an all-girls school, I did, and we had this conversation, and I said, I'm going to go to England and I'm going to marry David Bowie. Obviously, it didn't come true.
Oh, never mind.
Sorry, that's my secret of the day.
Oh, sweet. Well, my crush used to be. I mean, it's worse. Mine was David Cassidy. Yeah, used to
Bless
think.
you.
Yeah, absolutely. The voice, the look, everything.
Really?
Yeah. I
I
mean,
think
he
I
was
was went
like,
for
my mum used to be in love with him. Yeah, and
really,
I got into him through my mother when I was younger. I was in awe of this. Yeah, the face,
really.
everything. Yeah. So
No, I always went for the bad boys.
yeah, yeah.
Moving swiftly on.
Right. Okay. So next question that we've come up with. So, is there anything about the menopause that's surprised you in a good way or a bad way?
Yes, yes. Shall I start the ball rolling?
Yes.
Right. I've got two lists. And as I mentioned, I love the hot flushes. My second bit I really, 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 really love, because I always used to highlight my hair. Now I've got natural highlights. And each and every month, my hair's changing. It's like more and more white is coming into my hair. You can't see here. And I love it. I'm like looking at my hair, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got small white bits. And it's amazing. And I'm just blown away. So I love my hair. It is white. I'm convinced it's white, not grey. And even if it was grey, it's absolutely fine. But I love that. I love how my appearance is changing. And we spoke about like a little bit about Botox. Like some people really lean into that world. And my always fear was like, if I lean into that world, where do you cut the cutoff point? So I'm not a great lover of my wrinkles, but like I said, no, I haven't said, but my face is changing too. So I'm kind of like, I'm going with that flow because I am, but I love my hair. My little bugbears of menopause is the brain fog and forgetfulness, and then not even realizing I got brain fog and forgetting things. In my head, it's like, oh, clarity, but in reality, I've got brain fog. And my other bugbear is like I'm beginning to look like a little weeble. I've got this little belly like Santa. Like I was at this training thing on Friday, and I was like tapping my tummy, and the girls across the were wetting themselves, laughing. They're going, Jenny, but I haven't got this little pregnant bump, which I need to get rid of. So, any suggestions for weight gain and brain fog, herbal wise, I'll gladly receive. Please.
Well, I'm the same as you, pretty much the same. Yeah, I've got that as well. Little bit of the belly coming, and it's like, where did that come from? Why can't I get rid of that? I don't like that.
I don't.
So I'll tell you, high waisted jeans are great for that. High waisted jeans
Ah,
are fantastic for that.
big
But
pants.
yeah, big pants, literally. But getting rid of it, I don't know, because um, with the brain fog and yeah, you've got this clarity on the inside, haven't you? We're here spouting up about clarity, but then you've got the brain fog. So I can be talking to you about something and then forget what the bloody hell I was going to say or what I'm talking about. And it looks like, does she know what she's talking about? And it's like, I do, but I forgot. And then I panic and I think, I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, what was it? What was it? What was it? And it looks terrible, but it's a
Yeah.
real thing. And I don't know when that's going to stop. But it's there, the brain fog, or not knowing what day it is. I never had that before. I always knew what day it was. Now I don't know what bloody day it is sometimes. I woke up this morning and thought, it was Sunday?
Yes.
It's like, it's Tuesday.
But do you have you noticed that, like, if you go to say someone's name and you work with them and then you go, I don't know your name.
Yeah,
Have you had that?
yeah. It's like, are you all right? Sport, mate. Pal, girl, hey girl. Yeah, all the time.
It's
And
awful.
yeah, this is why, like doing this now, I've got notes everywhere of
Yeah.
points I want to say. Not because I don't know what I want to say, but because I know I'll forget. And I mean, even the herbs that I take and the supplements, I know what I take, but I've wrote down the names because I'll forget the name.
Mhm.
So it brain fog's real. Um, yeah, brain fog. And with the grey hair, when I was in my 40s, I couldn't have imagined having grey hair. It was like, no, no,
Mhm.
don't fancy that. No, because I used to bleach it.
Mm.
And then all of a sudden, just as I was in my late 40s, it was snapping off and breaking. And I'm thinking, why? And I didn't realise at that point it was the menopause coming in. As my hair texture changed. And then the 2020 lockdowns happened and we couldn't go to the hairdressers. And then when we could go to the hairdressers, mine insisted on you having a mask on, which I wasn't going to do.
Ah,
So I thought, nah, not doing it. I've been going to you for 20 years and you're not going to let me in because of this. Well, fair enough then. So I let the grey come through and I thought, well, I'll just have a look, see how it looks. I mean, everybody else seems to be in the same boat at that point in time. So I'll have a look. And I did. I grew it all out. It took about 3 years to grow it out properly and one big chop. And so all that's mine. I
it's
have people
beautiful.
I have people saying, "Oh, you colour it. When did you last dye your hair, or what shade of grey have you got on today?" And it's like I haven't. I'd gone to Glastonbury last year um,
Oh,
to an event, an AV event, talking about Stonehenge and things like that. And I was selling some of the Hocus Focus books there. And I had people saying, "Oh, what shade of grey have you done your hair today?" And I'm like, I don't dye my hair. Oh, yeah, you do. And I'm like, I don't dye my
beautiful.
hair. And my husband was there. And I said, do I dye my bloody hair? And he said, no, she doesn't dye her hair. And I don't.
It's beautiful.
It just changes in the light, it's silver at the front and then it's silver underneath. Can you see there where it's
Yeah.
got the
Yeah.
undercut and then it's darker at the back? So I've got a two-tone pixie for free, really, because people pay a lot of money for that. It's
I
just
know. I've got
coming for
mine's
free.
that balachet thing.
Oh,
Bal-
balayage, yeah, yeah,
balayage. Yeah.
very nice. I like the back of your hair.
It's dark.
And I like the front too, but I like the back. I like the way that it's quite a lot shorter at the back, isn't it? It's graduated.
Oh, yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. I do too.
Yeah, so I don't. I have considered having some low lights put in maybe, but I don't think
No.
it's needed. So I haven't.
No.
I haven't. It's just mine, and you can use any shampoo you want. You don't have to worry about that. And
It's
um,
gorgeous.
So the grey hair, I went with it and I like it. I used to have nightmares about being in the hairdresser's chair, having it bleached and thinking, oh, what I shouldn't have done that. So
Mm.
now I love the colour now and absolutely, yeah. I mean, what better colour for your complexion than your own colour?
I agree. I agree. But yeah, after all these years of highlighting my hair, the amount of money we're saving is
Yeah.
amazing.
And well deserved as well because we've put enough into the beauty industry over the years, so it's good to
Yeah.
reap the benefits now of just letting it go. And I think in today's day, grey hair doesn't mean it's put in rollers and set for the week and sprayed within an inch of its life, and that's it. You put a hairnet on and you go to bed. It's not like that anymore. There's so many edgy
Okay.
cuts that you can have in different things that bring the hair
Mm.
alive. You don't have to bleach it. And I mean, if you want to colour it, yeah, colour it. I'm not saying I'm against colouring, but if you don't and you want to go with the grey, there's lots of edgy styles and things. It's not like it used to be back in our grandmother's day, is it?
No, because they used to wear those sensible shoes, those really nylon tights, wasn't it? I'm thinking about my nana, and it was all permed hair, wasn't it? Whereas like now, because I'm not really into film stars, but my favorite film person or idol, not idol because I don't have idols. So I've got my yoga teacher who's 61 and she is rocking the look, and then Helen Mirren.
Oh yes, yeah. Helen
I
Mirren.
just look at her and I think, gosh, you're stunning. And she's not, she's just embraced. I think she celebrated getting old, to be honest,
Yeah. Yeah, she's
celebrating
not
the
40,
fact that
has
she's
she?
still here.
Yeah, she looks great. She does.
Do you think this time of life has changed how you turn up?
Yes, I do. I think, especially in my work, quite a big way, really, because I actually feel like I stopped trying to be what I think other people want me to be. And instead, I'm now starting to do what actually feels true for me. And I'm not people pleasing anymore. So if something's not working, especially on the channel or in my writing, then I let it go. I don't waste any time or energy trying to keep it nice and smooth for other people. So I got more confidence to say, no, I'm not happy with that. No, I don't like that. No, I'm not having that. And now I'll speak out and say, it's not working. And I've also got this newfound confidence, and my husband is a witness to this, like talking on camera. I couldn't, if you'd have told me I was going to sit here talking on camera, 4 years ago, I would have laughed you out of the room because I hate having my photograph taken. Hate it. And to sit here on camera now talking, I'm putting work out there without, you know, any question or trying to second guess it, then yeah, who is this woman? Where's Sarah and what have you done with her? Well, I think she's just come to the surface really because she doesn't really give a anymore what people think. So I just do things now. So I'm more creative. And there's massive freedom in not caring what people think. And I don't mean that in a defensive way, I don't care what he thinks, I don't care what she thinks, but in more of a growth, expansive way. So I'm not afraid to experiment in my work and try different things rather than keep it the same all the time. And I think this stage of life, you got permission, haven't you, to get rid of the bits that don't work for you anymore and turn up as yourself properly. And I think that's now starting to show in my work, and I'm enjoying it more because I'm not trying to fit in now. So, like on my channel, the content's changing slightly again now, getting a bit more creative and a bit heading towards more storytelling and
Mm,
um,
I love
bit,
it.
bit of satire, rather than presenting to you
Yeah.
facts and things. It was starting to feel a bit of a chore. Now I just like to have a bit of creative freedom. So, yeah, I've got the confidence now to stand up for myself and do what I want in my work.
Your meditations are amazing. They make me howl. You just you, I love listening to your voice and then your stories. It's like it's the old fables, isn't it? You're telling a story, but there's a deeper meaning to them. So it's not like love and light, everyone. You know, got to love your neighbor. These are really like when you really listen, and I loved, and they're really short, bite size, which I absolutely love. So like I'm sat in my art room creating, and I'm listening to them, and then I have to re-listen to it again and go, yes, yes. I hear what you're saying. I think one of the things I agree with you, though sometimes I do still worry about what people think because I don't want people to think bad. So I'm not kind of like out of that water. But one of the things I've noticed, and I'm really kind of like, oh my God, why am I doing it? Example, yesterday went to took Lynn to the doctor's surgery, and typical English, we go in the right direction. This woman jumps in front of us. Didn't mean to. She was in a world of her own. Out of my mouth, I goes, "That's cheeky." And she turned around, she went, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I thought, oh my God, I spoke before my brain went into gear. And when I was at the supermarket, I was going to look at the stuff, and this man stood in front of me, and I did a sign to his back. And I'm like, Glenn goes, "Jenny?" I went, "I don't know where it's coming from. This feistiness is coming out my mouth and out my hands." And I'm like, oh. So yes, even though I'm kind of like cautious, I'm like, I'm just become this, I don't know, dragon, for a better word, but not like a dragon. Maybe it's a crone energy. I don't know. But that's one of the things I've noticed. Things come out my mouth, and then I go, "Oh my God, did I really say that? Did I really say that? I did say that." But yeah, I agree with you, and that's what I've noticed as well.
I think sometimes, the finger can be really healing behind the back, and it can save a big argument, and it can save a confrontation.
Yes,
If
because
somebody's cut in front of you like that and being rude as though you're not there, and as they're walking away, you give them the old middle finger,
I did.
with real right. So yeah, if we got cut off there, just as we was talking about Jenny giving that gentleman in the supermarket the finger. But as I was saying, I think, if somebody cuts you up like that or walks in front of you and is just genuinely rude for the sake of being rude or ignorant, where they don't even realize that they're being rude, then yeah, I think a finger. But if you do it with soul and you know, with meaning, real like that, then yeah, it can save an awful lot of arguments and a confrontation because he doesn't see it, but it makes you feel better.
Yes,
That's the main
I
thing.
know. I know. I was so shocked at myself. It was literally like, and then because I was so shocked, I kind of like then stood back from him and let him just do what he had to do. And then once he moved, I stepped forward. So yeah, it was a release of energy. I didn't say anything. It didn't lead to confrontation. He didn't realise, I don't think. And the matter was resolved.
The
And I
matter
got
was
to look at,
resolved.
yeah, I got to choose a Tesco's finest meal deal.
Listen, giving the finger to a guy in the supermarket, I give my finger to the computer or the remote control of the TV. Anything that doesn't work gets it nowadays. So
Yeah, I know.
the door
Yeah.
won't open.
My other confession for today. I'm telling everyone all my secrets now, aren't I? Shall we go on to the next question?
Yes, we can go on to the next one. Yes.
Shall I fire it out
Yes,
into?
go on. You go for the next one.
Okay. Is there anything you wish women would know when they turn 50 or start the menopause?
Yeah. And it's something I wish I knew. Um, like there's this assumption, isn't there, that when you hit your 50s that you become invisible or irrelevant, and we're all boring. We've got no life and we've given up on ourselves, and we're not chasing youth, and we're not hustling for success anymore, so people think we've got nothing left to live for. We should just give up and roll over and die, really. And I think people think we're past it after 50 and we don't care
Oh,
about ourselves and we don't have any wants or desires, but that's not true. And I think people, society believes that they've been conditioned to believe that you have to achieve a lot before you're too old and it's too late, but it's not true, because there's nothing stopping you from achieving something in your 50s, and it's never too late. You could have another 30 years left. So if you want to learn, or to learn something, like you want to learn to paint or draw or play the guitar or the violin or whatever, things like that, it's never too late, because that
Mm.
time's going to pass anyway. So whether you try to achieve a goal or not, so why not use the time constructively to achieve an ambition, um, or overcome a challenge? Because I don't think that growing old gracefully means giving up. It doesn't mean giving up. It means becoming who you really are. It's that phoenix from the flame again, isn't it? Stepping out and rising from the flames and making the most of this second half of your life. Because for myself, and I wish someone had told me this as a 12-year-old girl on the brink of adolescence, that the first 50 years of your life are a dress rehearsal. And now I'm in the second half of my life. So now I'm in the main event, I think. And my priorities have changed. And thank God for that, because I'm not chasing approval or trying to keep up with anything anymore. And in my head, I still feel 27. I feel exactly the same in my head,
Mm.
just different priorities and more life experience, decades more experience, really. I've got better boundaries now and a lot more peace. So it's not the end of anything, it's the beginning of living on your own terms, really.
And because listening to, and I agree with everything you say there. And when we were having this conversation last week, you were saying about we're in the autumn of our lives, and when we look at autumn, what does it mean? And it is that turning off the season where we're letting go of all the things that no longer serve us. And one of the other things, like, I wanted to add, and this is my menopause brain going back a little bit. I was 53, maybe, if my maths is correct. And I did something. My childhood dream when I was little was to be a nurse and look after children. But my cousins, my drinks things make a funny sound. But my cousin said, "Don't work with children because it's too upsetting." And then my first work experience was working in a kindergarten, looking after babies. And then I'm like, so when 2020 happened, I thought, you know what, this is my perfect opportunity to go and try something that I always wanted to do. So for the last 4 years, I think, I've been looking after babies, which, alongside what I do. So I do that 3 days a week, and then the rest of the time I'm doing my own work, my own business. So yeah, I think about, and then it's also the other thing about 50 is like, well, what's my purpose now? What am I going to do? So rather than thinking, oh God, what's my purpose? It's more like, right, what's calling me? What are my ancestors calling me to do? So I like it when what you said, when it was said the first 50 years was the dress rehearsal, and now it's the real deal. Love that. Love that. I should have just said love that right from the start.
It's true, though. It's true, isn't it? Because you're
Yeah.
still the same person inside, but now you've got the life experience, and you've learned lessons, and you know you
Yeah.
can really like live it now. I know what
Yeah.
you're talking about a little bit more as well, in regards to your own experiences and your own life, and what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally agree.
I remember back in the day when I was in my 20s, um, I've always felt more comfortable with older people, like
Mm.
always, even in my 20s. And I remember going to Blackpool in the 90s, with a boyfriend at the time. We went for a holiday, and he wanted to hit the nightclubs, and I wanted to go to the Tower and learn how to ballroom dance. And I
Oh.
did, and we used to have these arguments. He wanted to go here, and I'm like, I want to go to the Tower and watch the ballroom dancers dancing to the Wurlitzer. And I could sit there for hours and watch these older people spinning around the dance floor, and to this music, and just like being completely in sync with each other to the music. And yeah, maybe I'm just an old soul. I don't know, but I've always felt more comfortable and more alive around older people than I ever did in a nightclub full of people my own age. I just used to go there to fit in, really, and because it was expected, it was what you did. But put me in the Tower Ballroom when I went to Blackpool, and I was like, wow, yeah, loved it.
Wow.
Yeah,
I've learned something new about you today.
yeah.
That was definitely a past life, ballroom dancing. You probably that was one of your happiest eras, that you were born in that era where the ballroom dancing was. And then that memory still still etched in your heart. And so going there just made you feel comfortable and at ease. So definitely in a past life in that era where ballroom dancing was about.
Yeah, and
Excellent.
my grandmother used to ballroom dance with my granddad as well. They used to always win
Oh,
trophies and awards. I think there used to be a dance place not far from where they lived. It was a weekly thing, and they used to go and do the ballroom
oh,
dancing. So, and I just there was something about the way they dressed, and the shoes, and the music, and the way that they spun around the dance floor so gracefully and elegantly, and the hair was, nothing was out of place. They were like fairy tale characters to me. It was like watching the ballroom dancers. It's like watching ice skaters. I get transformed into like a fairy tale because
yeah,
it's like something out of Peter Pan.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, that so I was always more comfortable around older people than around people my own age, because I didn't feel like I had anything to prove to somebody who was older, because they just got life. They were living it, and they understood, and they didn't care about the things that my generation cared about, your hair, how you looked. They just were in the moment, and I used to like that, and I used to draw on it quite a lot.
Yeah, thinking back to my time at Ragdale, we always used to have an endless supply of 18-year-olds because therapists used to come to Ragdale and then stay and then move on. So I've always been used to younger people, and I found that quite vibrant. You never kind of like personally aged because I was around younger people, if that makes sense. But anyway, next question. Shall I ask that one again?
Yeah, I've just got one more thing to add to that question,
Oh,
has just come to mind.
yeah.
That was, I mean, now I've got a perfect example of brain fog here. That last question, was that about asking what you wish more
What
women had heard when they were
Yeah, what
approached?
do you think people get wrong about our age?
Ah, right, I'm a question ahead. My apologies, brain fog. Okay, carry on. Next
Okay.
question.
I don't know. I don't know. I might have jumped one. I was blown away by the ballroom. I was somewhere else then. I was somewhere
Yeah,
else.
I was back in the Tower Ballroom, so apologies. It wasn't menopause, it was daydreaming.
Yeah, that's something me and you do very well.
Somewhere
Is
else.
daydreaming. Yeah.
Can I just add something to what we were talking about? And it's about um, what the menopause is. It's like, I wish I knew this, but it's when I was younger, but it's like puberty in reverse, isn't it? Because do you remember think back to puberty, right? There's this, you've not at puberty, you know it's coming, you've had the conversation, you've got the things in your bag just in case, and you've got this feeling of being on the edge of womanhood, and you've got all these dreams and possibilities and excitement, and it was so exciting, and you couldn't wait for it to happen, and you wanted to, which of your friends was going to be first. Well, menopause is a bit like that, except this time you're you are the woman but you've got all that life experience, and you've got the heartaches, you've got the wins, you've got the things that made you who you are, the things that cut really deep, but you learnt a lesson, and you've got the scars, the emotional scars to show for that, and they're all part of who we are. And when you was talking about, we touched on the autumn earlier. Well, when you think about it, the autumn is the time that we harvest things, isn't it? We reap what we sow. So you get to pull on everything that you've ever planted during your spring and summertime of life, all that growth, all that effort, and all those lessons. And all that stuff, the good and the bad, it's all yours to live
Mm.
off and build on, except you go forward now from this second main show, if you like, the main stage, with this clarity and strength, and like you said before, freedom. So when you reach your 50s as a woman or as a man, you're not running out of time. I think you're coming into season, if you like, and trees, they shed their leaves and they don't try to hold on to them. They let them go, the leaves, and it's ready for the new growth that's going on beneath under the soil that we can't see. And we think everything's died back, but it hasn't died back. It's all that energy is going into the roots beneath the ground, and the tree's going to come back into itself again next year. And that's a bit like every year of your 50s, I think, as you get older and then you start approaching towards your 60s, you like shed your leaves and then you put all that energy into new growth. And, and you come back as a new version of yourself the following year, an older version, even wiser, like the old wise woman at the end of the street. And it's a process, it doesn't happen overnight. It's something you have to be comfortable with. And I like that. I like thinking that I'm in the autumn of my life. I mean, isn't there a saying, May to December? Isn't that a May to December relationship? Isn't that when somebody younger is going out with somebody considerably older? Someone
I
who's
don't
in the
know that one.
springtime of their life is seeing or married to somebody who's in the autumn or the winter of the life. Um, and yeah, I like being compared to the seasons, and I'm proudly in my autumn years. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Sarah. That was beautiful. I've got nothing to add to that. That was just beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. So go on, we've got one more question left, and I'll let you throw that one out there.
Right. Sarah, are you ready for this question?
Yes.
Let's dive deep into this one. Gosh, I'm turning into a right presenter, aren't I? Right, playing the part, acting. As your relationship with your intuition changed, has it got deeper? Your psychic ability?
Yes. And I'll tell you, it's it's become a lot louder and I trust it a lot more now. And sometimes, and we've all guilty of it, I've ignored it in the past and things have gone a bit wrong. But if I ignore it now, which I have done, it doesn't just fade off into the background. It gets really loud. And if I still don't listen to it now, I found that it starts showing up, um, like in the physical. So I've noticed that if something's wrong for me, or there's something that I need to let go of, or there's something I need to deal with that I haven't because I don't want to, or I don't want to admit that there's a problem here I need to sort out, or this person, there's something about this person, or this um, thing isn't good for you, then I start getting really clumsy and tripping over nothing and dropping things and breaking things and things falling out of cupboards several times a day. And I'm not talking about the odd bit of tripping up here and there because we all do that. You know, we all drop things and trip over our own feet. But I'm talking about several times a day, several times a week. And I think it's a physical manifestation now of me ignoring my gut. So it's like my body saying, Oi, you need to deal with this thing that you're ignoring. It won't go away. So now, like when I catch myself in that situation, tripping up and falling over and dropping things, or cups flying out the cupboard, then I think to myself, right, what's going on here now? What am I not facing, or what is not right that I've got to cut out and get rid of? And yeah, it definitely it's been massive, that, because my intuition over the years was a lot more subtle, because it is quite a subtle thing. It's not all bells and whistles, but now it's got really loud. And if I ignore it, it's not afraid to chuck a mug out of the cupboard onto the floor or off the table to get my attention. So now I listen to it all the time. And I've got the grazed knees as well to prove that yeah, I have come a cropper one or two times when it's been something that I need to deal with that I've ignored. It's almost like my um higher self, inner self, subconscious, whatever you want to call it, source, spirit,
Damon.
the universe, Damon, is saying, you're not listening to what I'm telling you. So I'm going to have to push you over, or I'm going to have to chuck a cup at you, or I'm going to have to make you drop your favourite piece of china to make you listen. And it does. And that's just happened, started in my 50s, yeah. And it's getting stronger and stronger. So I listen to that now. Yeah.
Because one of the things about like it, the crone is the next stage, isn't it? Like, and then it's I can't remember what the old one is, but it's like that energy of like what we needed with being younger, like giving birth or the menstrual cycle, for a better word, without fluffing around with the words. Now we no longer have that. There's some sort of alchemy or change where it stays within us, and that blood isn't being released from us, it stays within us. And I think that makes us more potent as healers, and our psychic ability increases and our intuition as well. And I strongly, because I've been reflecting, and I strongly believe that we have greater clarity. Like, I would think of something and I know exactly where it is in the house and I'll go straight there. And that's something I've really noticed in this later part of my 50s, that psychic ability so much switched on. So yeah, I agree with you. Your intuition gets stronger, men and women, psychic ability, if you've been working with your psychic ability, it's not like all of a sudden you become psychic, because I do strongly believe with your psychic ability, everyone's got the possibility to do that. But it's something that you really got to, it's a muscle that you've got to work on. But because you've been working on so long for, once you're in your 50s, it's now really taken its place. And we're heading in that direction of what is after the crone? Is it the wise?
It's mother maiden. It's
Mother
maiden,
maiden.
mother, crone. So it's the crone is the elder. You've got the maiden, the young
So it
girl.
is
You've got the
free.
mother in the middle, and then you've got the crone. Yeah,
So we are the crones.
yeah, we are the crones. Yeah, remember that film Quadrophenia? We are the mods. We are the crones. Yeah.
I used to wear red socks in Australia thinking I was a mod.
I used to have a Ben Sherman, button down, and
Oh,
yeah, I
gosh.
used to like all that stuff.
Me too.
Yeah,
Me
good
too.
film that. Um,
Yeah.
do you know, you just brought me to the moon with what you've said, because our menstrual cycle is tied to the moon, isn't it?
Mm.
Every 28 days, and we're affected by the moon. And once that reproductive cycle comes to an end, which we know it does in the menopause, then I don't think you stop being at one with the moon. You're still affected by the moon, because we're 70% water, our bodies, and the moon affects the tides of the sea. So the moon has an effect on us, whether we're in the reproductive stages of life or not. And I think rather than it being physical now at this age, whereas prior to that, we would have a period, and you would release that way. Now I think it's more the relationship with it is more, with the moon, is more conscious based, in consciousness and psychic ability. So I think that we still have an important relationship with the moon, and if you're open to using your psychic ability and expanding your awareness and your consciousness, then you can use those certain times of the month, as they say, to be able to do that now, because we're not having a period now, but we're still attached and connected to the moon. So you could use those times now to expand and meditate and think about things, and really get to know and learn your subconscious or your daemon.
Mhm.
So
Thank you. That's beautiful.
okay, so we've answered some questions there about life in our 50s, and what the menopause has meant for us so far, just to get us started as an introduction to the subject, because it is a huge subject, and it's not something you can cover or do it justice in just one episode. So I think on the next episode when we go over to Jenny's channel. So if you haven't subscribed, make sure you go over there and give her a subscribe just so that you get the notification, you don't miss the next one. Perhaps we could talk about herbs and HRT and that side of things. So that'd be something to think about between now and the next
Yep,
episode.
that's perfect.
Yeah, and Jenny said that she was going to do us a menopausal tarot reading. So she's going to come and give us her thoughts on what card she's pulled, and we'll see where that leads us.
Right. So, Sarah, when I read cards, I read the image of the cards. And the cards, two cards came up when I was shuffling the cards, and it was the Five of Pentacles and the Two of Cups. And first of all, the Five of Pentacles in tarot represents the earth, which is all to do with physical life, health, stability, money, practical matters, etc. And the number 5 represents change. So this card will be shown where there's been a struggle. This is going to be changing for the better. So looking from the eyes of what this podcast is all about, then from the image, I see a woman looking back over her life. Her life is changing and she wonders, who am I? Slowly, her body no longer represents that girl with dreams. Slowly, her body burns within, her mind lost into another world. Changes that come within that no one speaks of, that cannot be stopped, but sweeps her off her feet. But as she looks back and stares, slowly the images shift, and what she sees is the magical alchemy occurring. For in truth, with the menopause, the fire within is burning away all that no longer serves her. She is stepping into her true power, her true self, and now is free to be true to herself. And doors will open, and she will ask, in which direction do I want to go now? What is my calling? These changes are then seen as amazing opportunities. So embrace the menopause, sit with the uncertainties till all becomes clear. And then the Two of Cups represents in tarot water, which is all to do with emotions, relationships, love, serenity, spirituality, etc. And when I look at this card, I see two women coming together, sharing their stories, their truths, and conversations flowing. Immediately, I thought about me and you. One cup flows into the other and vice versa, creating deeper connection and partnership based on shared values and compassion. And this card indicates they have the potential to reach higher planes of consciousness and understanding, and long term will find what they are creating is fulfilling at all levels. Again, based on this podcast, I would say to you, the listener, share your story, speak to others, and be open about how you feel, the good days, the bad days, the in between days. And in turn, friendships are formed. To be this speaks of a new friendship for you. So, again, this is a message to everyone listening, because not just the menopause, what I felt looking at the card was it is indicating that there is someone coming into your life, and this could be on a friendship or it could be with love if you're single. And for once you experience what true love really is, and this love is for keeps. Because again, going back to the menopause and turning 50, I think you've kissed enough frogs to know. And once you step into your 50s, into the menopause, and this friendship comes into your life, it's because you're ready for this friendship, and then you'll realize what true love, true friendship is all about in your 50s. So that's what I got with these two cards. So what's your thoughts, Sarah?
Well, yeah, I really feel that, especially with the Two of Cups. Could also be seen, I think, as a relationship between yourself as well, pre-menopause, post-menopause. Because like during menopause, your relationship with yourself totally changes, and all the old stuff comes to the surface, doesn't it? Up for review, and it's like, hang on a minute, who am I right now? That's how you feel at the beginning. And this card makes me think about reconnection to yourself as well, and properly seeing yourself again. And that's what menopause does. It makes you have a deeper relationship with your own body, your own emotions and thoughts and your truth, whether you're ready for it or not. You can't bypass it. You've got to go with it and make peace with it. And it becomes a lot easier. It's hard to do, but it's real. And I love that it's a cups card, because it's all about emotions and, being emotional and loving, and you stop pretending and you feel things properly. And that might be the first time in years that you stop pretending and that you really start to feel things. And that's quite a powerful thing, quite alchemical as well. Even if it's messy, you have to, welcome the messy bits as well. And yeah, the the two of cups, also thought myself about me and you coming together for doing this podcast, which is quite synonymous with that. We both bring things to the table, and there's mutual respect and a good friendship there. So yeah, I raise my cup to you, Jenny, as well. And with the Five of Pentacles, I'm using the Rider Waite tarot card, by the way. So I've put the images on the screen. This one, in the Rider Waite imagery, I think that is the embodiment of the bloody menopause. That, because you get this sense like, oh, you hit your 50s and you're being shut out of society, like, and you don't know what to do with yourself, and you feel out in the cold because society or younger people don't know what to do with women that aren't young and shiny anymore. So we get pushed to the side onto the scrap heap, or they think we do. And you feel like you've been left out in the cold, and it's snowing, and it's just quite a bleak image. But then when you look at the window on the Rider Waite card there, you can see that there's somebody in that room. Looks like a church. There's somebody in there. The lights on. There's a glow coming from inside there, and even though you feel lonely, you don't feel like you're being looked at the same, or you're invisible. There's unexpected shelter in unexpected places. You just need to look for it. Maybe, like we're doing, speak about these things, and then you find that you're not going through this stuff alone. There's lots of other people going through it, and you're not going mad. And it's a natural stage of life. So there's help and support available. Sometimes you just need to make the effort to find it, or maybe ask for it rather than wait for it to come to you. And that's the healing bit, when you find your group or a friend who's going through the same thing, and you know that you're not supposed to go through this alone. And that's why I think conversations like we're having now, they're really important. They're real, and they're honest. You get a bit of everything, warts and all, and I hope that they help people. So yes, to me, those two cards together are saying, yep, you might feel a bit dishevelled and discarded by the system, but you also get the chance to fall into a deeper relationship with yourself and those around you.
That's beautiful, Sarah. Thank you. Absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I've just remembered. I had a thought about this last night, and I wrote it down. I just thought we could get the viewers involved in this. Little bit of homework for the viewers. If you fancy journaling or just having a bit of a think after this tarot section, then I thought about something that you might want to do and to sit with. So I'm going to give you a journal prompt for the tarot card. So, where in my life do I feel shut out or unseen right now? And if you want to go a bit deeper with it, then you could journal about what would it look like to properly have my own back the way that I've had everybody else's all these years. And obviously I'm joking when I say it's a bit of homework. You don't have to write pages and pages, just see what comes up, and you don't even have to write anything, because sometimes just thinking about these things and naming it and feeling it is enough to bring something to the surface. And it can be quite healing. So I thought it might be nice, a nice journal prompt after the
I
time.
like that, Sarah.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Okay. So have you got anything else you want to add before?
No, no, I think we've delved and covered a lot, and I think we've set the the benchmark for which direction we want to go in. So now I'm looking forward to the next conversation we have about the herbs, because with both our backgrounds and our interests, we're very alternative way of thinking. So yeah, I've got nothing more to add.
Okay, then. So it's a good place to end it then. So we're going to go on the next episode. We're going to be talking about alternative remedies for some of the symptoms of the menopause and managing it. Then is that what we're going to do that on your channel next? Are you there? Hello.
Yes, sorry, you
You
froze it.
froze.
That's very.
Oh, I thought. Oh,
You went very.
I thought we had a glitch in the matrix for a minute. Then, but we're back. We're back in reality. Right, we're back in this realm,
Yes,
Jenny. Right. Okay. So we're gonna
I
go into the remedies and the alternative ways of managing things on the next episode
yes.
on your channel. That'd be good. Right. Okay.
And looking at our ancestors and how they would have dealt with
Excellent.
it and their stories. So yeah,
Okay. Well, thanks for watching this podcast. Two crones and a camera. Nearly said two camera and a crone. Then I'll have to think about that. So if any of this has resonated with you or made you nod and say, yeah, yeah, or laugh and go, yeah, same here, then please feel free to drop a comment. We're just figuring it out. We don't have all the answers. We're just the same as everybody else going through it. So, like we said, it's not going to be a strict schedule. We're aiming for one a month for now. Next one will be over on Jenny's channel. So keep an eye out for that. So, in the meantime, take care of yourself. This stage of life isn't about shrinking away, it's for coming back louder, weirder, wiser, and probably a bit sweatier, but definitely stronger. Just keeping it real, Jennifer, just keeping it real. So, we'll see you all again soon. And thanks for tuning in.
yeah. Thanks for tuning in and lots of love until next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Gingerbread.